Parliament comes in when the legislation has been placed before them.
Okay.
Then the Select Committee on Health, and I'm sure the Select Committee on Legal and Constitution will also look at it, because there's a lot of legal issues. You have to make sure that the person who is donating will not come back and say, I want back my kidney.
Okay. Organ donation is an important aspect of healthcare, which can save lives and also improve the quality of life for those who are in need of organ transplantation. Cases of people who are in need of kidney transplant, lung transplant, cornea, pancreas, and many of such organs abound in Ghana. But like many other countries, Ghana does not have a comprehensive legislation to back organ transplant in Ghana. Today, we speak to a man who would know more about the legislation and where we are in terms of passing a law for organ transplant or organ donation in Ghana. His name is Dr. Nsia-Asare. He needs no introduction. He's the Presidential Advisor on Health, and today he'll speak to me about how far the President knows about organ donation. Doc, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a very busy man. The COVID period was the peak of when you're doing a lot of the media interactions. What's your life like these days with the abatement of the COVID pandemic?
Yes, since, as you are aware, we were doing a lot during the COVID period.
Right.
But with the containment of the COVID pandemic, now we've gone back to our normal lives. There are other things that you are doing.
Okay.
There are a lot of things which came post-COVID.
Right.
For example, trying to have a massive infrastructure development.
Right. Ghana. Yes. So that will fall under the Agenda 111.
Yes. So nowadays, most of my time is on
the Agenda 111.
Agenda 111 possible.
Right.
About some weeks earlier, we were also trying to set up a National Vaccine Institute to make Ghana as a vaccine manufacturing hub in Africa.
Okay.
Which is one of the visions of the government, and for that matter, the African Union. So Ghana wants to take a position in it. We've been able to do that. There was a presidential committee which was set up. We've been able to pass the law for National Vaccine Institute, which will coordinate and facilitate vaccine, serum, and other biological production in Ghana.
Okay.
We have a building, we have a board in place, and then we have management in place, so we've handed over to them to work on it.
Okay.
So now we are on the Agenda 111 to make sure that every district without a hospital will have a fit-for-purpose, state-of-the-art first referral center.
It won't be like the CHIPS compound and all of that. It will be an upgrade.
It's the first referral center in every district, so that you don't have to travel a very long distance before you can see a doctor.
Right.
And then get yourself also well treated or managed.
Right.
And then you can also have good education about and health promotion in these centers. So this is what we are doing now. And you know that there are also some regional hospitals in the new regions, so that they also have a second referral center before they are referred to a tertiary institution. Okay. So that's exactly what we are trying to do now, to make sure that we get Agenda 111 also going and moving, like we managed to do for the National Vaccine Institute and vaccine production in the country.
Okay, that's a big challenge. Hopefully we're able to finish that in time for quality healthcare. But to the main reason why today we visited you in the office is about organ donation. It's just a random thought that came when we were having a conversation in the office, where one of my colleagues said she went to the hospital, and I mean, with the interactions with the doctor, she was given the option to sign a form to donate her eyes in the event that she's passed on. And that really was exciting and interesting at the same time.
In Ghana, or
in Ghana. And for me, that piqued the interest about organ donation. Yes. And I recently, about 3 months ago, heard you speak about cornea donation and transplant in Ghana.
Yes.
What is the latest on that call that there should be a legislation around cornea transplant in Ghana?
Yes, if you realize, we are developing in our health systems.
Okay.
Some time ago, we didn't have enough ophthalmologists in the country who are well trained in subspecialties to be able to transplant cornea. You know, there are a lot of people who are blind, and from what they tell us, a high percentage of the blind people are from cornea scarring.
Okay.
And if you replace it with a piece of cornea, the person gains sight again. And we train a lot of ophthalmologists in that, and know that they have some people who have been trained in Kofanochi, in Cape Coast, in Kolebu, and I think even in Tema and then Tamale.
Okay.
So they can do cornea transplant. But because you don't have a bank,
okay.
You see, if you want to do a transplant, first you have to have an act of parliament or legislative instrument guiding it, because you have to be very careful that you don't have organ people harvest
yes.
organs and then taking them out and all sort of things. So first you have to harvest the organ. First you have to know the donor who has been well educated and primed that you are going to donate this.
Okay.
The time that you want it to be donated. And then you also have to also take care of the person who is donating and the person who is receiving.
Right.
And then first and foremost, we have to get the people who are trained with the equipment and everything in place, which slowly we are building up in all aspects, because we can do cornea transplant in Ghana. We can also do kidney transplant in Ghana. And then even heart transplant in Ghana.
Yeah.
There are people who are also training to do liver transplant. These are diseases which are killing people. But if you get it well done and then transplanted, because there are people who are losing their lives in the road traffic accident and all sort of things. But now for the kidney transplant, it's mainly from relatives. Donor who is alive, a relative who would then say that I'm going to donate one of my kidneys to a relative. But to do it properly, and even we are doing also fertility, it's also taking tissues.
Yes.
So it's organs, tissues, cells.
Right.
Anything that you want to take from a human body and store, there should be a legislative instrument
to guide
it, so that people don't start
abusing it
and selling it. And if you're not very careful, as people say, it can even grab you and remove one of your kidneys and all this. So there should be laws guiding all these things. This is what is being done. I know Kolebu Teaching Hospital Board in 2007 or so set up a committee, and they came out of a report, a very good report, which you can use as a basis. They've gone through the literature, they've looked at other laws in other countries, and they came out. I remember in the 2018 when I was at the Ghana as Director General, they presented to us, we set up a committee, people who are interested in organ transplantation, and they went through it, and I remember putting a covering letter on it around 2019 and sent to the minister, and they are also studying it, and I'm sure it's with their legal team, and they have to look at it and then maybe translate it into a legislative instrument. I also heard recently that last year, before we did the ophthalmology conference, that fertility group have also put something together and sent to the ministry. But I believe that it should be a composite law.
Yes.
Act of Parliament, we should guide cells, tissues, and organ, first harvesting, storage, and then transplantation.
Okay.
And that is the way to go
as
a country. But there are some people who normally, for the eye people who bring organ tissues to come and transplant. But when you are bringing it, it's in the cold chain.
Yes.
So you have to maybe do all the cases within a matter of 48 hours, and it's a bit tiring, and it's not the best way to go.
Okay.
And since you have people trained and people who can handle these operations, and they've done a lot of them, and they are successful, especially fertility.
Yes.
A lot of in vitro fertilization going on. But there should be a law
that backs it.
Okay. And that's the reason why we are moving in that direction.
Okay.
And we are doing everything possible to make sure that we have that legislative instrument in place.
Okay. Is there a lobby group? I know you said different associations and people have tried to put together, but is there certain pressure being given to, say, Parliament to, if you like, hasten the process?
Parliament comes in when the legislation has been placed before them.
Okay.
Then the Select Committee on Health, and I'm sure Select Committee on Legal and Constitution will also look at it, because there's a lot of legal issues. You have to make sure that the person who is donating will not come back and say, I want back my kidney. It happens some other places where they go to court. So we want to make sure. And then the most important thing is those who want to donate their organs in case of an emergency, or where you can also speak to relatives and somebody has road traffic accident before he has a brain death, then you can remove the organs, harvest them, and give to somebody. So all these things have to come in.
Right.
That people will not, for one reason or the other, start saying that, oh, you are there so that they can remove your organs.
Okay.
So it should be strictly looked at, and then we have the legislation in place, and that's the way to go.
Okay. Now that you say that, it's really brought my mind to the fact that people can abuse it, people can intentionally kill people and harvest their organs. That's why we need to be
even
patient.
Trafficking, organ trafficking,
yes,
is a very serious issue in some
part of the world.
We have to be very sure about that people don't harvest organs here and then go and sell it elsewhere.
Okay.
So all these things should be put in place. That's the reason why we need an act of parliament backed by even legislative instruments, so that we know that if we are going to have a bank, like a blood bank,
yeah.
You have an organ bank. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you have to do. And who are the people who are supposed to be opening the bank? Recently I read something even in US, where cadaver tissues have even been also trafficked to somewhere and then sold. But because they have the laws in place,
yeah,
you can easily be taken up and then arrested.
Okay.
And to me, it's a very criminal offense.
Yeah, and this exhaustive legislation and regulation should include the fact that it won't be to the highest bidder. Obviously, then that takes away people who cannot afford the procedure and all of that from the list. You know, in other countries, there is a list, and somehow rich people get to the top of the food chain.
No, it's not the case. You know, in the other parts of the world where it is well organized, an organ can be removed in Germany, and somebody who is on the waiting list is in France.
Okay.
They've done a European type of organ transfer. I remember when I was doing my training, I joined the organ explantation team.
Okay.
They call you at any time. Then you see people removing the eyes, people removing this, and the heart is the last to remove. Because once you remove the heart, it's gone. Then everybody will remove, they pick it, put it in their container and off of a helicopter, and they're gone.
Wow.
So that they go and keep it at where the European bank is. They have banks in specific places. Here is for liver bank, this is an eye, this is a liver, kidney. They take almost everything, skin.
Wow.
And then when somebody needs it quickly, they send it, especially the heart. When they take the heart, it's going to transplant it in somebody who is on the waiting list.
Okay.
So all these things should be set in the law, so that you know when, if you are on the waiting list, you know when you get it. And if it is going to be a relative, this and that, or you don't have to be on the waiting list.
Yeah.
And so far as I'm concerned, you see, we have developed ourselves in this country, especially in the eye transplant, which we have to try and do to save a lot of blind people in this country.
Because the data says there are a lot of blind people in this country.
And they are blind not because of it. Sometimes they are blind because of the scarred cornea that they have. And with a piece of cornea, they can see again and then live a very useful life.
Without wearing the spectacle like myself and yourself.
Yes, if you're wearing the spectacles, still you can see.
Yes.
Blindness you cannot
at all.
And then you become a burden to your family and the society.
Okay.
So this is something that we have to all encourage. And they need it urgently and as quickly as possible.
Okay.
But for the meantime, they are working together with the other people in the diaspora who come in as NGOs of the bank. They take cornea from their banks through a very specific way and then come to do the operations here and go.
Okay, so this cornea, is it so you can give me your cornea if yours is intact, and you could give it to me if mine is scarred?
Yes, but they have to make sure that there's compatibility. That's why they do transplantation.
Okay.
For kidney and everything, they have
yes,
to check
obviously.
that you are compatible with the person who is giving to you. That's why normally relatives are better.
Okay.
Being siblings, because at least you have the same
DNA
and all these things, and then you can do it. But before we can do this properly, we need a legislation. Very important.
Okay.
Once we get a legislation in place, then we set up the banks. Then we can then do the removals of the organs, and then people can even donate their organs. You were telling a story where somebody went there, they were telling, ideally there's no law backing it, but you can say that when I die,
yes,
in any case where I've died, any organ of mine which can be removed. I've been saying that, especially the eyes, because when you die, you close your eyes.
Yes.
To me, it's the easiest.
Okay.
So if people donate their eyes, you can remove it and then you still put them in state and nobody will
see. So you take it when you know they're about to die, or even in their death, you can remove it?
No, you have to
before
not when the brain is still functioning.
Okay.
Before the brain goes off.
Okay. All right.
So this should all be set in place. Kidneys are also the same thing. You can remove kidney. When you need a kidney transplant, you need only one kidney.
Yeah.
Not a double kidney. So all this, when they are all done properly, and then cancelling of those who are donating and those who are to be transplanted, you have to cancel all of them, cancel the whole family. So all these things should be put in the legislative instrument.
Okay.
And who can do that? Who can remove it? Who can keep it? Who can give it out?
Okay.
And then I think the cost is not so much important, but the cost can even be regulated, so that not that I'm poor, so today I want to go and remove my one kidney.
Yeah.
All these things should be taken care of in
the law. You're still on the Lowdown here on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Daniel Oduro. We're having a very important conversation about organ donation in our country. Dr. Nsia-Asare is the presidential advisor on health, and today he opens up about cornea transplant, which is something that he says is very dear to his heart, and he says it's the easiest to do. But also we're having a comprehensive conversation about general organ and tissue and cell donation. We'll go for a short break. When we return, we'll ask some other relevant questions and what needs to be done to get this thing passed and agreed as soon as possible. Stay with us. We're back after this break.
Everyone needs the perfect snack to munch on during a fun moment. Wow. Enjoy the tasty McBerry Twist cupcakes, deliciously baked and packaged for a sweet treat. Premium quality cakes baked with love for all, enriched in butter and milk.
Yummy.
Oh, McBerry Twist cupcakes. Simply irresistible. Try one today. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back from the break. This is still the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. My name is Daniel Oduro. We're having a conversation about organ donation. Before the break, Dr. Nsia-Asare was telling us where we are in terms of legislation and regulation for organ transplant and donation and harvesting in Ghana. Doc, let me be a bit cynical. This is an important subject, and someone in my office said, we are talking about LGBT and this is something that could save lives. This should be at the front burner. Are you surprised that it's taken us so long to bring this to a national conversation level?
It's because if you don't have the enough trained personnel to do it, and it's maybe one person or two people, then it will be on the lower burner.
Okay.
But once we are training people, that's why it's coming up now more, because we are training a lot of people in subspecialties where they can do the kidney transplant. I think so last week or so, or this week, they did one in Kolebu.
Yes.
So now people are learning it and they have to work with it. And we have the chance to do it here instead of going to India or the UK or this thing. That's how it is. But you see, if you want to do all these things, you have to get a very good information on the donor and the recipients.
Okay.
They're very important. And you have to also make sure that the donor screening is well done. That's where it comes in. You have to screen the donor very well, that the donor doesn't have any blood diseases like HIV, AIDS, or has a hepatitis B or C or anything, so it doesn't infect the other person.
Right.
And then we also have to do quality control for make sure that whatever you are doing, even the banks that you are creating, there's a lot of quality control. So all these things come into whatever you are doing. So you don't rush and go and do a law
when you don't have.
You cannot even implement the legislative issue because you don't have the means of doing it. But now, health have changed. We've moved from whatever we were doing before to now very quality, to give super quality care to the patients.
Okay.
And people have been going to India, to South Africa and all this. And so that's why the time now that people are thinking that why not now? We have to pass the law so that we have the organs for transplantation. People who are prepared to donate their organs can also donate where to go to donate the organs, who are the physicians who can deal with this. All these things will be controlled. And that's the reason why maybe it's better late than now.
Okay. But how soon do you think we should do this? Is it a danger if we take so long to get this thing done?
It's not necessarily a danger because, for example, recently some people are doing renal transplant in Kolebu, even though there's no law, but because they can get a relative,
okay,
and then who is a recipient, who is a donor, take the patient through all the this is psychological things and make sure that they've screen the patient and the donor very well, and then also do the same thing for the recipient.
Okay.
Then they can do it. But going forward, so that we can do a lot, not once a while, we have to get this in place.
Okay.
So that even somebody who is not even a relative wants to donate the kidneys when the baby has an accident, why not? But now you cannot, because there's no law.
So if you do it, it's illegal?
Yeah, it's illegal.
Okay.
Somebody can take you on even though you are saving life.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we want to do it. And then we have to then make sure that we have a very good, safe place that we can also store them. And make sure that we don't give some dead, donated, explanted tissue to somebody.
Okay. You have the ear of the president. What have you been telling the president about this? Because it appears you're passionate about it. Is the president aware about your position and your feeling about it?
Yeah, he's aware of. We want to, we giving advice to the president. We also advise the president how we can improve the health system. Okay. And he's very, 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 very interested in improving the health systems in this country.
Okay.
And we saw it during the COVID. Day and night he was chairing the National COVID Task Force, asking the relevant questions. He gave 29 addresses, the fellow Ghanaians addresses. And you can see that anytime he speaks with passion.
Okay.
And people were thinking he now become a professor of infectious disease or epidemiology. Because he listens.
Okay.
And he wants he looks at the welfare of Ghanaians. Okay. And anything which will improve the health system, because health is wealth.
Right.
So, but you have to go through a system before you get this thing done. And once you get it at a very high level, we will inform him that now we have at a stage where maybe he's going to parliament. I know that when he goes to parliament and it comes to him, he will quickly sign the act.
You think it will be done in his tenure? He has 1.5 years to...
I'll be very happy it's done.
Okay.
We are speaking behind the closed doors with the people who matter.
Okay.
So we are praying that the legislators or the
framers
the drafters of the act will work very hard and fast.
Okay.
I'll be very happy if it is done.
Okay. Is it realistically possible?
It should be.
Okay.
Because I know already that they have something in front of them where they are looking at the ministry. But once a while I call to ask the legal person that where have you reached?
Okay.
And we are all keen. Apparently, both the Ghana Kidney Association and then the Ghana Ophthalmologic Association of Ghana have also all charged me personally. Of
course.
When they're having their meetings, they intentionally lure me to come and talk.
They know you have the ear of the president now.
And because of that, it's very dear to my heart.
Okay.
Both the kidney and
the cornea.
Also the cornea. But generally, it's for all organ transplantation.
Okay. Have you taken into account the bottleneck or barrier of spirituality? Because people throw it around. You go and take somebody's organ, a person...
If the person is mad, we talk about.
Exactly.
If the person has to be
exercised.
Demons,
exactly.
Yeah, it's true. But you see, when you are doing the education should not be only for the health professionals.
Okay.
It should be for everybody, the entire population. Because they are going to be the donors. And especially, as you rightly said, the spirituality aspect of it is very, very important. So that we let the spiritualists and the other people understand that if somebody dies,
yes,
and he has very good organs to donate, and he takes it and is buried or he's cremated, you just burn it off,
yeah,
which he can use to save people. I remember very well that when we were medical students, people also sign off.
Yes.
And when I die, let medical school use my body. That's what we learn. Used to learn
the anatomy, yeah,
to become doctors and even surgeons like some of us. So instead of using that as a spare part for somebody to live, why not? And I'm sure that when we start the education, when the legislation comes out, we have to educate people to bring all of them on board, and they all know what we want to do.
Okay.
That's very, very important. That should be done, I'm sure, by the civil society,
yeah,
by all of us,
yeah,
by you people,
right,
to make sure that they don't get the wrong impression. If you want to live long and live like what they are living else at other places, this is one of them.
Okay. Before we go, when you mentioned about being medical students and the anatomy part, have you ever heard of somebody signing off that if I pass on, use my body as an experiment for medical student, and the family coming back and say, yes, he may have signed off or she may have signed off, but as a family, we don't subscribe to it. We won't agree for you to use our relative's body for medical purposes.
No, when I was a student, I never heard of it. And
Yeah.
Since I became also health manager
Yeah.
in hospitals, I've never heard about that.
Okay.
And there are some bodies which nobody comes to claim it. I mean,
Yes. We do mass burials and things.
So if the body is okay and it's good, sometimes we can also
Give it to students.
Store it very well to be used for anatomy.
Okay.
And anatomy is even changing now. You can also do it digitally.
Oh, really?
Yes,
But is it the same? It's not the same.
I think it's not the same like what we were doing.
We have the blood and everything. You see everything.
Oh, the bodies don't have blood. You don't see the blood.
Okay,
because
all right.
the bodies which have been stored.
Yeah, okay, right, true.
So, and I think that if I'm a medical student and it's being done
digitally,
I don't have the feel. That's the first time you have a feel of
the human body.
Then you start dissecting. It's very, very interesting.
Okay.
And maybe that's what turns some of us into surgeons.
But this thing, do the ordinary people know about it? It looks like the upscale elite people who know about it. Like, okay, if I'm dying, instead of cremating me, I'm signing it off. You think people in the lower class?
It's all education.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know about it, but I think when we start, the law is passed and we start educating people, to interest you, a lot of people will come on board.
Okay.
Because if they are doing it elsewhere, why not here?
Has it been done in any part of Africa? Is this something that we have any precedents?
I'm not aware, but I know that in Europe, in Australasia, in America, yes, they do it. In Africa, I have to look at it. I don't think there's any African country, but maybe South Africa does it.
Okay, maybe.
South Africa, they do a lot of transplants there.
Okay. So maybe we could be the first in Sub-Saharan Africa to do it.
I'm hoping that we are the first.
Yeah, we like being the first, so maybe.
Yes, you want to be first in everything.
And your name will be imprinted. We'll go down history. But Doc, thank you very much. It's an important topic, and we like to speak to different experts on this subject and bring some national awareness to it. So thank you for your time, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Daniel Oduro. This has been another edition of the Lowdown on Ghanaweb TV. We'll bring you a series of many more on organ donation and organ transplant in Ghana to help you understand the topic, and hopefully one day there's a national conversation and ally and all of that, you better appreciate the topic. We're back same time or another time with another edition of the show. Until then, it's bye for now.